You think you're prepared. You've gone through the academy, passed the polygraphs, and survived the sleep deprivation drills. But nothing in a textbook prepares you for a pitch-black field in rural Georgia, surrounded by radicals undergoing a chemical-induced frenzy. One of them carries out a ritual sacrifice. The air fills with that thick copper smell. They fill a cup. One by one, these men consume an illegal substance, chase it with a drink from that cup, and swear an oath to start a nationwide collapse. Then the cup comes to me. It's thick. It's coagulated. It's the most unsettling thing I've ever seen. But in this world, hesitation is a death sentence. If I don't participate, I'm not a brother. I'm a target. I didn't drink the whole thing, but I made it look real enough to pass their test. At that moment, I wasn't Scott Payne, federal agent. I was a ghost among monsters. This is the story of how I infiltrated the most dangerous radical groups in the country, and the heavy price you pay when your job is to build a friendship just to betray it. Before the radical cells, there were the Outlaws, an elite motorcycle organization known for racketeering and extreme enforcement. Infiltrating them is supposed to be impossible. My legend, my fake backstory, was Scott Calloway, also known as Tex. A rough-around-the-edges Texan who loved whiskey and Harleys. I didn't have to act like a misfit, I already was one. I remember the night I got in. I walked into a bar where the members were out in force. I became the loudest, funniest guy in the room to get noticed. It worked. A high-ranking leader sent me a drink. But the real test happened in the bathroom. I'm at the urinal and I see a reflection in the glass on the wall. A massive, jacked individual walks in. He checks the stalls. He checks under the doors. He's clearing the room. He walks right up next to me, shoulder to shoulder. My heart is a hammer. He looks at me and says, "So, what brings you to Massachusetts?" That was Scotttown. Over the next year and a half, he became my brother. We lived that life together. Our daughters were the same age. On paper, I was an agent. In reality, Scotttown was my doppelganger. He was the person I might have been if I hadn't chosen this career. The pressure of a double life peaks in what we call the adrenaline dump. We were setting up a massive prohibited shipment, the kind of deal that puts people away for decades. Little did the organization know the suppliers they were protecting were actually my tactical team. Right before the deal, the leaders pulled me into a back room. They told me to strip. They needed to check for a wire. When your body enters that level of stress, your hearing fades into a dull roar. Your vision becomes a series of frozen frames. I'm standing there, vulnerable, in a crawl space, with two men who are known for being armed and dangerous. The problem? I was wired. The recording device was sewn into the seam of my clothing. I watched as one of them picked up my gear. He started running his fingers through the fabric, slow and methodical. He was inches from the device. I let out a sigh. I couldn't help it. He looked me right in the eye. And he missed it. He tossed the clothes back. I lived to fight another day. Months later, during the takedown, my phone rang at 4 a.m. It was Scotttown. He was scared. He'd heard people were being picked up and wanted to warn me. He told me he loved me like a brother. 45 minutes later, a tactical team arrived at his door. He got 7 years. I never saw him again. After the motorcycles, I moved toward domestic security cases. I started by contacting a radical organization through an old-school hotline. To get into their inner circle, I had to offer a skill. They'd lost their entertainment for a gathering because their guy got picked up by local police. I told them, "I'm a musician. I'll bring the gear and play a set." Suddenly, I'm the entertainment for a radical rally. I spent weeks studying their specific bylaws and handbooks. I found myself in a field, blindfolded, holding the shoulder of the man in front of me. We knelt. We swore oaths. When they took the blindfold off, I was knighted into their group. I walked back to my truck thinking, yeah, well, I'm officially on the inside. But that group was just the beginning. There was a new cell emerging that was far more sophisticated. They were called the Base. The Base is an accelerationist group. They don't want to protest. They want to dismantle society through targeted chaos. They use paramilitary tactics and seek out total collapse. To get in, I had to pass a rigorous digital vetting process. I was invited to a physical evaluation in Rome, Georgia. When I arrived, they didn't just pat me down. They used an electronic wand to sweep for tracking devices. They swiped it over my truck, and it started screaming. It had picked up the federal tracking device hidden in the frame. I had to think fast. I pointed to the massive high-tension power lines overhead. "It's the interference! This location is electronic noise!" I yelled. They bought it. While they weren't looking, I frantically messaged my team. "Kill the signal now." The team deactivated it just as the radicals swiped the truck again. Silence. I was in. This led to a multi-day training camp on a remote farm. We practiced tactical maneuvers and survival drills. These men weren't just angry, they were void of empathy. One member told me he was ready to eliminate his own family for the cause. Another spoke about how he'd have no problem ending the life of a child if they were on the wrong side. The tension culminated in that ritual in the field. After it was over, they were in a state of chemical-induced hysteria. They created a secret plan called the camping trip. It wasn't about hiking, it was a targeted hit. Their objective was a specific couple in Georgia they considered enemies. The plan was for me and two others to gain entry into their home at night. One member used a term for taking a life for the first time. He was eager for it. I had the floor plans, I had the weapons, I had the recorded evidence. We didn't just stop an act of violence, we dismantled a cell of the most dangerous domestic threats in the country. The Betrayal. People ask me how I did it for 17 years. How do you live with the deception? How do you participate in those rituals? The truth is, you leave a piece of yourself behind in every case. I still think about Scotttown. I still think about the look in the eyes of those radicals. But when I look at the people who are safe today because those camping trips never happened, I know the trade was worth it. I built relationships just to betray them. And for the sake of the innocent, I do it again.